So today we're going to continue with literal equations, but this time they are all going to be in terms of y. So what are we talking about? So very, very soon we're going to start studying linear equations. And y'all started learning these in 7th grade. So do y'all remember y equals mx plus b? Yes? So I want you to write that right here. Y equals mx plus b. This is the main equation for linear equations. This is called slope-intercept form. And this is the what? That's the slope, and that's the y-intercept. And you guys learned this in 7th grade. Again, we're going to dive way more into this in the coming weeks, okay? But what we're going to do today is you're going to be given an equation that is not in slope-intercept form, but your job is going to be to put it in slope-intercept form. So you're going to solve for y every single time, and you're going to want it to look exactly like this. Now, what's the purpose of this? Because when we're graphing things, we need to know what is the slope and what is the y-intercept. And if it looks like this, it is very easy to see the slope and the y-intercept. Does that make sense? So every single problem today, you're solving for y. Again, what is our reason? Because in the coming weeks, we need to identify the slope and the y-intercept. So if you look at the first equation, you cannot identify a slope or a y-intercept from this because it's not in y equals mx plus b form. Yes? So if you want your highlighter, highlight the y, because every time today, we are solving for y. Now, because we're solving for y, you might not need the highlighter the whole time because your brain will start training that you're going to solve for y. But until you get used to it, I would highlight it, okay? All right, so if I want to get y by itself, what has got to go? The 2x. So I'm going to do that by subtracting, because how do I zero out a 2x? I subtract it. Now, I'm going to write y equals. I could write 7 minus 2x. Do y'all agree? But which way would make it look like this?
Minus 2x.
Put this first, right? And then put this. So I would put negative 2x, and the 7 is positive. Are y'all with me? So I would put plus 7. Again, why do I want it to be in a certain order? Because in the coming weeks, you're going to have to identify the slope and the y-intercept. So if it looks like this, then you could easily identify it. Yes? Everybody okay? All right, let's look at the next one. Highlight the y. If I want to get the y by itself, what has got to go? The 5x, what else? The 4. Which one has to go first? Guys, the one attached to the one you're keeping has got to go last. Okay, so this has to go last because it's the coefficient to y. This goes first. How do I get rid of a positive 5x? Minus 5x. Whatever I do to the left, I have to do to the right. Okay, this is now gone. Bless you. I am left with 4y equals. Now, if I want to write 10 minus 5x, it is correct. Y'all are with me? But I don't want it to look like that. I want it to look like this. So what would I write first, the 10 or the negative 5x? So negative 5x, is that a positive 10 or negative? So I would write plus 10. Are we okay with why we wrote it in that order? Now, last night I taught you that to get rid of the coefficient to y, you would simply divide both sides by y. And that is correct. Don't write this down. Okay? You would go divide by 4, divide the whole thing by 4. And last night, I allowed you to keep it like that. But this does not look like this. So tonight, you're going to have to go a step further. So instead of doing it like that, could I say this has to be divided by 4 and this has to be divided by 4? Isn't that saying the whole thing has to be divided by 4? And now I can keep these separate to see a slope and a y-intercept. but I can just make sure they're simplified. Are y'all with me? So I have y equals, can I simplify negative 5/4? No. If I don't know that, could I put it in my calculator and test it out? So everybody look, negative alpha y equals 5/4, and it's going to keep it negative 5/4 because that cannot be simplified. So I have negative 5/4. The x can come out to the side because that's the same thing as having it on top. Plus, can 10/4 be simplified? Why? They're both even, right? Can I divide the top and bottom by 2? What's 10 divided by 2? 5. What's 4 divided by 2? So 5/2. And if I don't know that, yet again, I can go to alpha y equals, put in 10/4, and it's going to tell me that simplifies to 5/2. Could I have changed it to 2.5? Is 10/4 2.5? 10/4 is 2.5. Either answer is perfectly fine. Now, if I was graphing this and I wanted a y-intercept, personally, I would put 2.5 because I'm looking for it on the y-axis, okay? And again, we're going to get into this way more when we start graphing. All right, look at the next one. What am I solving for? Y. All right, so what's got to go? 9x and 3. Now, if you want, write it with this on the left side. So 3y plus 9x equals 12. Because sometimes it's just easier to have your y on the left side so that it looks exactly like this. Do y'all see I didn't do anything but just switch their sides? Right? I did write these in a different order, but it's the same thing. It doesn't matter. All right, so if I want to get y by itself, I got to get rid of the 9x and the 3. Which one has to go first? 9x. How do I get rid of a plus 9x? Minus 9x. So I'm left with 3y equals, and which one of these would I write first for slope-intercept? Negative 9x plus 12. But y'all do agree I could write 12 minus 9x, and it's the same thing. Okay, but I want it to look like this so that it is in slope-intercept form. All right, how am I going to get rid of the 3? Divide by 3. Now, for today, instead of dividing the whole thing by 3, I'm just going to divide each term by 3 because it's the same thing. So this has to be divided by 3, and this has to be divided by 3. And then I'm going to simplify. So I have y equals, what is negative 9 divided by 3? So I have negative 3x plus, what is 12 divided by 3? So what is the slope? What is the slope? Negative 3. What's the y-intercept? 4. So that's why we're doing this whole lesson. And this is a very important lesson that you will use in the rest of your math classes. So anytime you're dealing with something linear that's a straight line, you're going to need to be able to get it in this form. Okay? All right, let's try the next one. Y'all try this one on your own. Did everybody get that far? Correctly. Yes? Then I'm going to divide everything by negative 2. And then I have to simplify it. So I have y equals, what is negative 18 divided by negative 2? positive 9x plus, what's 26 divided by negative 2? Could I have put 9x minus 13? Yes, it is the same thing as plus negative. What do y'all think about today? It's much easier than yesterday? Yes. Will yesterday's be on your STAR EOC? Yes. Last year I think it had about one question on it like that. But this, all over the EOC. Because this is the foundation of every problem that we'll do for linear equations. This is like step 1, then you'll go do something else. Okay? But you'll get really, really good at this. All right, here we go. What am I solving for? Do y'all want to rewrite this with this stuff on the left? All right, so we're just going to rewrite 7y minus 6x equals 14. Then we'll go solve for y. So how am I going to get rid of minus 6x? So I have 7y equals 6x plus 14. I'm going to divide everything by 7. So I get y equals, can I simplify 6 sevenths? No. So I leave it 6 sevenths x plus, what's 14 sevenths? 2. Now, when you're dealing with slope, you always want your slope as a fraction. Do y'all know why? Do y'all remember how to graph with slope? Rise over? Yeah, so you want it as a fraction because the top number's the rise and the bottom number's the run. If you change it to a decimal, you can't see that, right? So leaving it as a fraction is preferred. All right, let's go do the next one. I am solving for y. I need to get rid of 8x and 8. Which one has to go first? So I'm going to subtract 8x on both sides. So I have negative 8y equals negative 8x plus 5. How do I get rid of the negative 8? Divide everything by negative 8. And I think that's the biggest mistake I see students make at first is they only divide one part by it, or they do the whole thing and then they have to take it steps further. So skip that step and put everything over negative 8. Now simplify. What is negative 8 divided by negative 8? Do I have to write 1 or can I just put x? Could I put 1 if I wanted to? Yes. Plus or whatever. Can 5/8 be simplified? No, but I have to keep a negative sign. So negative 5/8. And it doesn't matter where the negative sign is. It could be with the 5, it could be with the 8, or it could be out to the side as long as there's only one of them. And that's my answer. What's the slope here? No? 1. What's the y-intercept? Negative 5/8. All right, let's go do this one. Do y'all want to write this side on the left? Okay, so I have 9x minus 5y equals 30. All right, I am solving for y. How am I going to get rid of 9x? Minus 9x. So I have negative 5y equals negative 9x plus 30. How do I get rid of negative 5? Divide everything by negative 5. So I'm left with y equals, what is a negative divided by a negative? Can I simplify 9/5? No. So 9/5 x. And can 30/5 be simplified? What's 30 divided by 5? Negative 6. So I could write plus negative 6 or I could write minus 6. They are both the same thing. Okay, let's do this one. Now, let's do this one without switching them around. Can you still do it? Absolutely. We are solving for y, so we want to pull this y to the left. Are y'all with me? If you want to rewrite 11 minus 4y over here and 3 plus 6x over here, you can. I'm just showing you don't have to. You can go pull this over here and pull all these over here. Which way do y'all think is easier? I'll do it whichever way y'all want. So y'all want to just switch it first? Okay, we'll go do that then. So let's do 11 minus 4y equals 3 plus 6x. I just want y'all to realize you don't have to, like you could just go work this out plus 4y to move it over here. You see what I'm saying? Okay. So I want to get rid of everything over here with this y. What has got to go first? 11. How do I zero out an 11? Minus 11. Now stop. Is there something over here I can combine that with? So I'm going to put it right by the 3. I am left with negative 4y equals, what is 3 minus 11? Negative what?
8.
Yes. Negative 8x. Oh, it's not x. Negative 8 plus 6x. Now how do I get rid of the negative 4? Divide everything by negative 4. And now I need to simplify, but which one of these do I want to write first? The one with the x. So I'm going to have y equals. I'm going to write this one first. So what does 6 over negative 4 simplify to? So you can put it in your calculator. 6 over negative 4 simplifies to negative 3 over 2. So I'm going to write it first because I want the x to go first. Plus, what is negative 8 divided by negative 4? Positive 2. And we're not going to do every single one on the back. Okay, we're just going to do a few of them. So let's go do this one with decimals right here. It's the second one down on the left. You'll see it right here. All right, so we want to get y by itself. So what's going to go first, the 9 or the 0.5? 9. How do I get rid of a 9? How do I zero it out? Minus 9. I'm left with negative 0.5y equals 2.5x minus 9. Are we okay? How do I get rid of this negative 0.5 that's attached to the y by multiplication? Divide by negative 0.5. You have to divide everything by negative 0.5. So I'm left with y equals, and I'm going to go to my calculator and put in 2.5 divided by negative 0.5. And I don't get 5, I get negative 5x. And what is negative 9 divided by negative 0.5? Positive 18, so plus 18. Okay, y'all try this one on your own. You do have to simplify. You would never leave -5 over -3. Two negatives make a positive. What else could I put for -3 though? Plus -3. Exactly the same answer. All right, we're going to do one more and then I'll get you your assignment. This last one has parentheses, and anytime there are parentheses, you have to deal with them first. So what is the first thing I'm going to do right here? Change. I am going to distribute the 4 to the 2x and the 4 to the -y. So I have 4 times 2x, which is 8x, plus 4 times -y is -4y, equals 6 plus 2y. Now I'm trying to get y by itself. So the first thing I got to do is get all the y's on the same side, which I like them on the left. So I'm going to pull this 2y to the left by doing what? Subtracting. Whatever I do to the right, I got to do to the left, and I'm going to put it right under the other y. So I'm left with 8x plus, what is -4 minus 2? -4 minus 2 is -6y equals 6. Now I can get the y's by themselves. What's the first thing I'm going to get rid of? 8x or -6? So I'm going to subtract 8x. So I'm left with -6y equals, and I'm going to write the -8x first. Now I'm going to get rid of the -6 by division because it's attached to y by multiplication. So I'm going to divide everything by -6. And now I just have to simplify. So I have y equals, what's a negative divided by a negative? So can I simplify 8 6? They're both even, so I can divide both by 2, right? So 8 divided by 2 is 4. 6 divided by 2 is 3. And then what's 6 divided by -6? So I could put -1. What else could I put? Plus -1. Let's do one more with parentheses, because I feel like y'all need the practice. What's the first thing you're going to do? Distribute the parentheses. So 2 times 5x and 2 times 3y. Okay, this one's a little bit different because there's not y's on both sides, are there? What is on both sides? So which way do I want to pull them if my goal is to get this y by itself? I want to get them to the right. So you always have to think about what is my goal and what will help me, right? So I want to get this 10x to this side. I'm going to do that by subtraction. I'm going to put it under the 4x because I can combine them. Am I going too fast? Are we okay? All right, so I have 6y equals, which one of these do I want to write first? The x's, right? What's 4 minus 10? So I have -6x plus 10. And now I'm going to get rid of the 6 by dividing everything by 6. Could I have put -1x? Yes, but I don't ever have to write a coefficient of 1. But I do better have to have that negative sign. Yes? So at the top of your paper, I want you to write y equals mx plus b, because that's how every single answer should look. So if you forget, always ask myself, what is my goal? To make them look like this.